that yours?
I guess to win games day after day. What kind of becomes, I don't know, more important in those games than in the typical regular games, if anything?
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing in postseason, especially conference play, because you're back to back to back. Just going into the week with a game plan for the week, I think is always something we do. Because you just don't have as much time to prepare for your opponent. So I think more than anything, I think we're going into this week with an offensive game plan to try to think of what we did against Nebraska, what we did against Minnesota, and just take it one game at a time, really, because you just can't look ahead to anything just because it's single elimination. No, just like today we'll go in and we'll take 8 plays that we think that we can use, for either Minnesota or Nebraska, and then we'll have a secondary package for the games going there. But defensively, we are who we are right now, so I like who we are defensively. It's just offensively, we struggled the last 5 minutes of the game against Penn State offensively. If we had played a little better offensively, we'd have been all right. We have someone watching it. Yeah. I mean, and I think we have someone watching the bottom half of the other half of the bracket. But we're lucky the same coach has had Minnesota and Nebraska, so that kind of got lucky a little bit.
Coach Don, over the last 4 games, has had double digits. How have you kind of seen him adjust to playing with this new team over the course of the season, and especially in the last couple games, if anything's changed since then?
Yeah, I mean, I think Don attacked this year with great professionalism. I think he understood that he wasn't going to have as big a role as he did at Georgetown or maybe his previous stops, but I think even though he struggled shooting the basketball at times, I think he just he stayed with a great work ethic, stayed with a great attitude, and I think it's paid off for him.
Coach, what do you think about Jameer being selected to the second team instead of the first?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little biased. I thought he should have been first. I think the votes had to be in before the Penn State game anyways. I just think what he's done for us in a year and where he's brought us, and we've put a lot on his back. But again, you can look at that first team and have an argument for every one of those guys too, and the coaches would too. So I think him just being second team, and I guarantee he was really close to being first team, is an amazing accomplishment for Jameer Young. So I'm not going to worry so much that he's not first team. I'm glad that the coaches realized how important he was for us and how good of a player he is. I'm going to be biased and think he should be first team, but at the same time, I'm not going to take anything away from those players that made first team, because they deserve it too.
Obviously, you have plenty of experience playing in conference tournaments. You've been head coach now for over a decade. What does your routine look like at a neutral site compared to on the road, in a true road game, that is?
I had a good routine in the Big East. I kind of knew. I mean, growing up in New York, I kind of knew New York City. I used to walk the games. I don't know what it's like in the Big Ten tournament. I'm looking forward to getting to Chicago. I've only heard good things about the Big Ten tournament, so I've been stuck in the 9 p.m. game a lot, so I think we're comfortable with the 9 p.m. game. So we kind of have. I think that's the routine for the players is more important than anything else.
Coach, given what the magnitude of Sundays, if you win, you get the 3 instead of the 6. How was it hard to get the team past that and ready and moved on? Say, all right, Thursday.
I don't know. I haven't seen them.
No,
we had off yesterday.
Or even I guess even afterwards, you get a sense of what.
No, I mean we were disappointed. That's probably the worst loss I've had as a head coach, and I think the good thing is these guys were a little devastated, to be honest with you, because we played really well. I mean, we that was the best we've played on the road in a while, and we, give Penn State credit. Dredd hit some big shots, and we had a couple breakdowns late in the game. We left Funk one time, which, was a little mystifying. And even the last play, we played good defense. We rotated, we trapped Pickett, who was tremendous. Got them to take a challenge shot, and really we had 3 guys on the ball. We just kind of fumbled it. So I'm proud of this basketball team. Like, Sunday was tough, but that's the great thing about conference tournaments, the NCAA tournament. It's a whole new year, and for this team to go 11-9 to come in 6 with, if we had played a little bit better on the road with a realistic shot to win the Big Ten, if you had told me at the beginning of the year that's the scenario you can have, I would have took it from day one. So this team has played great. I'm proud of them. I'm looking forward to getting to Chicago. Sunday hurt, but we'll learn from it. We'll watch the film and see what we can do better towards the end of the games. But to sit there and Jameer Young, second team, I think the progress Julian's made. I just look at this year as a huge success.
One of the question I had, Reese, early in the beginning of the year, you said from what you saw when you got here to the beginning of the season, he had improved the most, and then he was out for a while with an injury. He was still coming back from that, but his steady incline from that, for the last 6 weeks, I guess it didn't surprise you at all. I think it surprised some people on the outside. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I look at, I think especially with young kids, Julian's only 19. So Julian's a young sophomore, probably as young a sophomore. I was watching the College of Charleston game last night against Townsend. And I think someone said that there was a guy in the team that's like 27. And then you look at Julian, who's 19, going against, Zach, Hunter, Trace, the absolute best big men in college basketball. I think going against those guys, having to face those guys twice, really helped him develop. I think it gave him great confidence the second time going through. I think the staff has worked really, really hard. And again, I knew he was going to have a great year because he's had a great attitude and he's had a great work ethic. And it's really not complicated. I say this all the time. If you want to be successful, have a great attitude and have a great work ethic, and good things are going to happen. And I think that's one reason why this team has done so good, is because they've had a great work ethic and a great attitude. But Julian's been I've had more fun coaching Juju than I have probably anybody, and that's saying a lot.
Dante's scoring output the last 5-10 games has been a little bit down. What needs to happen to maybe get him going offensively going into the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about that. I don't think people give Dante enough credit for what he does for us on the defensive end. I think Tay's a little worn out. I think I gotta give him a little bit more break every once in a while. He plays so darn hard. I think he's worn himself out just a little bit on the when he gets to the offensive end. He just doesn't. He doesn't have as much in the tank as he did maybe earlier. I just think I need to do a better job of just getting him a little bit of a break here and then. I don't like not having him on the floor. So again, it's a little bit my fault, because I feel when he's out there, he does good things, even though he's struggling to score right now.
Kevin, you mentioned you're used to coaching in the 9 o'clock game in the tournament. What are some of the nuances of being in that late game?
It's a little bit different in conference play and conference tournament play, because you get the advantage of watching all the games during the day, which is kind of fun. I love watching all the other games, so I think that eats up a lot of your day. Unlike a normal 9 p.m. game on a Tuesday night, like, you're going to watch the news, I'm sorry. I apologize. No, I meant that, like, I'm talking about a kid. Kids aren't watching the news. I'm sorry. I'm talking about regular kids. I'm not talking about me. So I think that's a unique perspective this time of year, is that you get to watch so many other conference tournaments. Like, I'll obviously be watching the Big East tournament too. And then I think the biggest thing is, if you do win, it is a tough turnaround. I think understanding how to handle that the next day is really big. And luckily I think I played in the Big East 9 o'clock game for like 4 straight years. So I think the biggest thing is adjusting to the next. If you win your game, at being able to adjust the next day and understanding what to do with your guys and how to get them recovered, how to get them prepared, how to put your scout report in, how to put your game plan in a very short period of time.
And what gives you cause for confidence that you guys are going to be able to flush the last week out? And
We've done a pretty good job at that. Like I said, like I'm looking forward to getting to practice. I loved how, I'll be honest, I loved how disappointed we were after the game. It was very, very emotional. There was guys yelling at each other, guys yelling at me. I love that. Their heart was into it. They wanted it. They knew it was at stake. And I think when you have that much buy-in and kids care that much, that, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And so when we get out on the court here in about 30 minutes, it's a new season. And so I'm looking forward to it. I know they are. And we've bounced back pretty good. I mean, we took a pretty big, we got killed at Michigan. We got beat on our home court pretty bad, and we've bounced back and played really well. And so we played well at Penn State. You got to give them credit. They made some plays down the stretch. So I like the way we played. So I'm just going to focus on that.
Listening to Laval Jordan actually gave you a lot of credit the other day for bringing a different style of play to the Big Ten. Have you noticed that over the course of the Big Ten season, and are people going to see that on a larger scale this weekend?
You know what? Chris Naki asked me that. I think people have had to adjust the way we play a little bit, but I've also had to adjust the way this league plays. Like, all these teams are new for me. So going into a typical Big East year, I had I had Villanova drills, I had Providence drills, and I had Creighton drills every year that I put in. This year was kind of new to me. I didn't know what really to work on. I knew the teams, but until you play against these guys and you really kind of see the ins and outs of what they do offensively and defensively, I feel like I'll have a much better feel of what we're going to have to do next year to prepare for it. Like Michigan State's, I think, is a little bit different of a prep than I've ever had. Iowa's a different prep than I've ever had. So I think, I don't know how much different we play than everybody else in the league. Our tempo is kind of in the middle. Our defense is pretty good, but we play 92% man-to-man. So I don't know how much that. Laval is a good friend of mine, so I think maybe he was just throwing a compliment out. So I've been friends with Laval. I got the most respect for the job he did at Butler, so I think he was just being nice.
Coach, what do you like best about the makeup of this team as it goes into the conference tournament?
I really like the fact that I feel that we can go inside and outside at every position. We post up our 4, we post up our 5, we post up our point guard, we post up Hawk. The only position we really don't post up is a 2. So I feel like at times where I feel like maybe in the beginning of the year I struggled with trying to get matchups and mismatches, I think because I have so much confidence in our post play that, if we need a bucket, we're going to be able to go down and get one. Thank you.
Hey guys, not to harp on Sunday, but just because of the fact that it cost you the Friday, the double bye, the way that it ended, getting past that one, does it help to have so many, although a lot of new players, a lot of experienced players, to be able to put that kind of thing behind you? And even Juju now, year 2 for you. If there was a bunch of freshmen and sophomores, I imagine that would be a lot harder to put that one behind you. Is that accurate? Do you agree with that?
I would say so. Definitely, the experience in this team understands that, it happened, it's passive, but our future is in front of us. So, just trying to lock in on the game and the tournament, really, just to try to win the championship is the most important thing for this team right now.
And Coach described just how immediately afterwards, how angry you guys were about that result, and to be able to let those emotions out, and that's okay. Someplace that's not okay. That then can lead to a downward spiral. To almost be encouraged. How important do you think that is for you guys?
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely a emotional sport to play. Especially for guys that show a lot of emotions, like me, guys that's real passionate about the sport. And sometimes you just can't like always wear your feelings on your sleeve on the court. You know, you got to be all positive. And sometimes those feelings after a loss they just build up and boil over sometimes, and it kind of gets it kind of gets it kind of gets out of control. And we understand as family. We stay together. We let that happen. We let everybody express how they feel, and then we just get back in the lab and get to work.
One more thing, and Julian, being in a conference with so many great big men, to be all conference, honorable mention, sophomore, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot, definitely work to be done there, and I feel like I can keep getting better and maybe make one of those teams next year.
Yeah, Don, just kind of having the career you've had, coming from Mount St. Mary's and Siena. I just kind of wondering, like, if you could give one piece of advice to maybe a guard who's getting looks from, a higher level, from that is maybe playing at a lower level, looking to get to a Big East school, Big Ten school. What do you think something that's important to get done?
I would say go somewhere that fits your style of play and somewhere that you could be an impact and winning right away. But I think that's the most important thing in order to showcase your abilities and your skill set.